My name is Victor Granados Pascual. I was born in 8 March 1986 in Paranavaí, Brazil. Paranavaí is a very small town. It has 80,000 inhabitants. So I was born. My mother is Cleide Granados. She was born in Apucarana, in Brazil as well. And my father was Luis Pascual. He was Spanish from a city called Alcañiz, but he grew up in Brazil. So I was born there in Paranavaí, and I spent most of my childhood in my hometown, except for 2 years I spent in Maringá. It's a bigger city nearby. Then I returned to Paranavaí and spent my school years there, primary school, secondary school. When I was 15 years old, I went to Spain. I lived some months in Spain. Then I returned back to do my secondary education. Also in Paranavaí, I completed in 2003 in Colégio Nobel. Then, 2 years later, I began my faculty. I began to college, and also in Paranavaí. I went. My father was Luis Mariano Pascual Lopes. He was born in Spain, in a city called Alcañiz. But when he was very small, newborn, just a few months old, his family moved to Brazil, to my hometown, and he grew up there. He studied there, primary education, secondary education. Then he went to work. My father, by the time I was born, he was working in radio. Like he produced programs to radio and also did commercial. And my father passed away 2 years ago in 2010, unfortunately. In June 2010, he had a heart stroke, and unfortunately he passed away. I have one sister from my mother's side, from her first marriage. Her name is Luciani. She studied computer sciences in university, and now she's married with 2 kids, living in São Paulo, in Brazil. She's working there. And I have 2 brothers from my father's first marriage, Luis Carlos and Jairo. They are Spanish. They are living in Spain. Unfortunately, I don't know them very well. So I never met these brothers. I saw them just 2 or 3 times in my life. So I don't have any memories of them. My sister, she's 14 years older than me, but we had a more closer relationship. But we never lived together because she was much older. When my first memories, she was already living in another town doing college. But I remember that every weekend, she came home and we spent the weekends together. My father, he was a very calm person. He didn't like it to talk very much. He didn't have many friends. He had like a very simple lifestyle, going to work, going home. He didn't like big stuff.
How was his religious life?
My father, no, he grew up as a Catholic, but he was not very practicing. He believed, no, in God, but he didn't went to church. My mother, uh, she was also Catholic, but she also didn't practice very much. In like only went to church for a wedding or a funeral, just that. No, religion wasn't a subject we talked at home. Never. I don't have any memories of this.
Okay, well, talk us about your childhood.
From I spent 4 years. I studied in a Catholic school, not because my parents wanted me to grow up religious, but because it was a good school. But I was never liked it very much. It was a nun school. I never liked the nuns. I found like the religious class very boring. Like I believed in gods, but some things that they trying to explain, like was very difficult for me to understand. They have the statues of the saints, and I found like that wasn't something right. Like, oh, this is the Saint Mary. Oh, you have to pray for her. No, that didn't make sense to me. Even if I was like 8, 10 years old, I found that very strange. I didn't felt good. No, it didn't seem right to pray to a statue, a piece of wood. I I believe that there was a God, a creator, but I never practiced any religion when I was a child. I wanted to believe something, but I never had any deep opportunity. Very few times we went to church. Usually, in Catholicism, when a person dies, they do a religious ceremony after 7 days and after 40 days. Like, so the only time I went to church was if some relative or family friend died. I went to these celebrations, or for a wedding of some relative or family friend. Like the funeral, the body, or the dead person, stays in a chapel, in like a small church, not a church but a religious building, in the coffin, open, with flowers, and the people, family and friends come to mourn and to say goodbye to the dead person for some hours. Then the coffin is closed and it go to the cemetery to be buried. And after 7 days they do a religious ceremony, a mass, where the priest says, no, this is a mass for the memory of this person who passed away 7 days ago. And when it's 40 days they do again, this is the mass in memory of the person who died 40 days ago. Yeah, in the Catholic religion, when a man become a priest, he receives like certain powers to bless and to forgive the sins of the people if they confess to him. He has the power to make them be clean of the sins. To do a confession, you don't have to use the confessionary. You can do anywhere, like in a room or outside. But usually the tradition is to use the confessionary. It's like a small wardrobe, a small cupboard. The priest go to a door, and the person come to the other side, and they do not see each other. There is like a curtain between them, so he can speak without seeing each other.